Hi, I'm Angie, and this is Stephen, the exercise director at Austin Muscle Restoration. At Austin Muscle Restoration, our core belief is that everyone must exercise, and that needs to include resistance-based training. Resistance-based training is key to a healthy muscular system, and a healthy muscular system is key to a healthy mind, body, and metabolic system. Our expertise is helping anyone build a healthy muscular system, especially those with low thresholds. And that includes stroke, TBI, paralysis, drop foot, mobility issues, and joint pain.
Today we're going to start a series of 5 videos to help people with low thresholds start the exercise process. The first one will involve visualization, which literally everyone can do. And it's based on research from Bishop's University that showed that people who visualize the exercise made strength gains similar to those that were actually doing the exercise. And we'll have a link at the bottom for those who want to check out the research. For each of these exercises, Angie is going to demonstrate, and as she's demonstrating, I want you to close your eyes and visualize what she's doing, and I'll give you some cues or some hints as to what should be contracting as we're doing these things. We're going to start first with knee flexion, which is knee benders, and I'm just going to have Angie start the motion. And as she's doing this, you can imagine sitting with your legs straight and you're just trying to bend your knees. You can think of taking your heels down and then backwards. We're using muscles in the back of the upper leg and also some muscles in the calf. So that's where you should be looking for those sensations. And you can try this with your eyes closed for about 60 seconds. Next, we're going to do back extension, which is working the muscles that run up the length of the back. And Angie's going to start by leaning back and thinking of creating an arch in her back as she goes. So it's almost like the hips are pushing forward as the back is arching backwards. And think of those muscles that run up the length of your back, just kind of pulling you back like that. And again, eyes closed. Try this for 60 seconds. Next, we're going to do a pulling motion. And Angie's going to sit up right here. She's got her chest against the pad. And as she's pulled back, she's going to bend the elbows. And she's going to think about pulling those shoulder blades towards each other. So it's not just an arm motion, it's also a shoulder blade motion. So as the rest of her body stays still, she's pulling those arms back and getting that good squeeze between the shoulder blades. And again, eyes closed, 60 seconds. Next, we have a pushing motion, so Angie's on the chest press. She's got her back solid against here, and she's going to push, and as she's pushing, she's almost imagining trying to shove herself back into the seat. This is working the muscles across the front of the shoulder and across the chest. So imagine trying to bring the arms towards the middle here. And you might feel that sensation across your chest and a little bit on the front of the shoulders as well. Eyes closed, 60 seconds. All right, next we're going to do an overhead motion. And Angie's in a nice seated position. And she's just going to reach with her hands up towards the ceiling. This is going to be working muscles mainly across the tops of the shoulders. And this machine doesn't allow, but think of up and towards the middle. And feel the sensation across the top of the shoulders as those muscles contract. Eyes closed, visualize for 60 seconds. Next we're going to do knee extension, which is the muscles that straighten the knee. So starting from the seated position, Angie's going to imagine her feet going, or her toes going forward and then up towards the ceiling. And here we're thinking about mainly quadriceps muscles. So these muscles on the top of the leg are contracting. So she should feel that pulling sensation here. Nice and smooth, everything else stays still. Eyes closed, 60 seconds. Next, we're going to have Angie do a squat motion. And from a standing position, she's going to imagine kind of like she's sitting down and back into a chair. and then come back up. This is using a lot of leg muscles. Some may feel it in the front of the upper leg, but you should also get some in the back of the leg and into the glutes as well. It's like you're trying to lower yourself down into a chair rather than just falling into it and then coming up slowly. Nice smooth motion. Again, eyes closed, and go for 60 seconds. Next, we're going to do elbow flexion, elbow benders. And from a standing position, she's going to keep her upper arm still. And imagine the hand starting to come up and then towards her upper arm. And this you should feel biceps, but there are other muscles there as well. So you feel a good sensation in the upper arms as she bends the elbow. Very controlled motions up and down. Nice and smooth. Eyes closed, and go for 60 seconds. Next, we're going to do elbow extension, which is the muscles that straighten the elbow, which is going to be mainly triceps. And we've got Angie slightly bent forward. She's trying to hold her upper arm kind of parallel to the floor. And she's just trying to bring that dumbbell up or out and then up towards the ceiling. As she bends the elbow, the upper arm stays still. Sensation should be in the back of the arm as those triceps contract. Again, nice smooth motions up and down. Eyes closed, go for 60 seconds. Next, we're going to do neck rotation. Angie's in a seated position. She's trying to keep her upper body nice and still. And she's going to turn the head one way and then the other. I like to imagine if she has a rod going through her head and through her body, she's basically trying to spin on the axis that creates. Trying to think of rotation, resist the temptation for the head to bend sideways. And we're working on neck rotator muscles right there. Again, very smooth. Don't try to force the motion. Eyes closed, 60 seconds. Next is a standing calf raise. So Angie's standing with her balls of her feet on this platform here, and she's holding on to these guys for balance. So very smooth motion. She's not popping up and down. And it's a straight up and down motion. I don't really want her leaning forward as she's doing this. And if you do this nice and controlled, you should definitely feel a nice sensation in the calves here. You should feel those guys contracting as you raise those heels up. Smooth motion up, smooth motion down. Eyes closed and go for 60 seconds. Next is hip flexion, which is the muscles on the front of the hip. We've got Angie leaning back against the total gym, and she's just trying to drive her knee, you could say up towards the ceiling, up towards her chest. And sensation should be the muscles on the front of the hip, kind of right where that hip bends into the body. Very controlled motions, not trying to rush anything. Eyes closed, go for 60 seconds. So now we're doing hip extension, which is the opposite of hip flexion. So we're working the muscles, the hamstrings, and also in the glutes. We've got her, Angie, leaning face down into the total gym. And she's just trying to extend that leg back and slightly up. Only going as far as we don't start to get the lower and back involved, because this is a lower body, not a upper body motion. Hopefully definitely feel it in the glutes. Might feel a little bit in the hamstrings as well as those guys contract. Nice and smooth. Eyes closed and go for 60 seconds. All right, next we're going to work on trunk flexion, which is basically your abdominals. So we got Angie lying on the table here with a bit of bend in her knee. And this is a very smooth motion. It's not as much motion as most people think. The cue I like to give is bringing the chest towards the navel. And we're working the abdominals, which is right on the front of the abdomen. She's only coming up as high as her lower back doesn't want to pull away from the table. Very smooth, you should feel it in the front of your abdomen. Eyes closed and go for 60 seconds. Next, we're going to do trunk rotation. So Angie's seated on the end of the table here. Lower body stays still. Again, I'm imagining a rod going through her body and she's spinning on that axis. Only going as far as the pelvis doesn't want to start to turn with her. And you're going to feel this probably around, a little bit in the front and around the sides of your trunk as those muscles contract. Very smooth, not trying to force anything. And coming back to the middle. And of course, we'll go in both directions if you're doing it. Eyes closed, 60 seconds.
That's our visualization exercises. We would love for you to visualize them 3 times a week for 60 seconds and just really think about the muscle contracting and growing and getting stronger. We wish you luck and lots of success.